Good morning, everybody. This is Joey from Clearwater Creations. Today I'm going to be taking you along with us while we do some winter pond maintenance. Okay, so we're just heading out to the pond now. I made this video not too long ago. The quality turned out to be not that good, so I'm remaking it here. I apologize if you have seen this already, and this is a little bit of reiteration, but for those of you who missed it, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through my usual winter maintenance routine, so just checking on the pond essentially, and I'll let you know a few things that I kind of look out for at my pond over the winter time. February traditionally is the hardest month of the year here in Canada, or at least Ontario anyways, for these types of water features. So let's take a little walk through, and I'll show you what I'm seeing. Now, first thing I'm looking at here is that I've got a nice big hole in my ice. So I'm not using a de-icer right now. This hole is actually created from a jet system that I have at the very bottom of this pond. So I have a piping system that runs along the very bottom, underneath all the rock work and all that, and actually pushes water out towards my skimmer, which is over there. So this hole is actually kept open by that little bit of extra flow that's coming in through this way. So that's worked pretty well for me over the winter. I haven't needed a de-icer yet just to keep a hole in the ice. So far I've been able to maintain one with my jet system, and I also have an aerator over there, which actually I think is frozen over at this point. So thankfully my jet system was able to keep up and keep a hole in that ice for me. Now that's just going to allow the exchange of basically good gases to get in and bad gases to get out. Keep your fish nice and happy. Ooh. Taking you along now to my skimmer. So it is actually buried in snow and ice. You can see here is an area where water is flowing into the skimmer system. So underneath all this here is a small thin layer of ice, and underneath that is my water reservoir. So and this is a fake rock here. That's my lid for my pump vault. I can pull that off and check out the pump system and all that, and check on my water level, and that's how I do that. But essentially what I'm looking for here is I want to make sure that I don't have any ice damming forming that can create unnecessary basically plugging up of my system. What's going to happen is ice is going to form here. It's going to create, a damming effect, and water is going to get pushed, along the sides, possibly over the edges of the liner or something like that. Or it's going to block the flow going through to my pumping system, which is not what I want at all. So I need to make sure I need to keep this area free and clear of ice and debris. So far, just the flow itself has been able to do that for me. I only ever get a little bit of thin ice here, and I will come out and just kind of knock that off so it doesn't build up all the time on me. But so far, very little maintenance required here. I just need to come and check on it essentially and make sure that that water is flowing nice and smoothly. Again, I mentioned this area is good for checking your water level. I can see in this area here whether my water level gets too low, but what I can also do is pop off my lid for my skimmer, and I can check the water level in there. So let's go ahead and do that while I'm right here. Lid comes off, and not sure how well you can see that. I think you can see okay, but this is my check valve and my pump is down in there, so still got quite a bit of water in the system, and so I'm not worried about that for today, which is good because nobody likes filling up a pond in the winter time. Okay, so we're going to take you along now to the Wetland Filter. So this is my Wetland Filter, and sort of the same as in the skimmer. This here is my very first waterfall. So water's flowing up through my wetland filter here through a layer of different grades of aggregates, and then finally through some plantings and stuff, which are here in the summertime. So water comes up through there and then back down into my pond this way. So what I'm looking out for here again is just ice damming. I want to make sure that water is able to move freely back into the pond, and what I don't want is ice to form here and actually block the waterfall and cause water to run off, say over the liner on that edge or something like that, or behind the rocks where I don't want it to go. So just looking out for ice damming here mainly, and so far I haven't had to do anything really for that as well. The water finds a really natural way of creating its own path, and the ice sort of forms around it. So what you might be tempted to do in this case is knock some of this ice off to sort of create more flow going back into the pond, and that can actually be detrimental because what you're going to happen is, and I've done this myself, is I'm going to mess with that ice there, and water may start to run over top of this all this ice, and then back on top of the pond, where it's just going to freeze and become snow and ice, and then you will have to top up your system. So we want to kind of leave this alone as much as possible, as long as water is running smoothly through it. That's all we want. Okay, we're now looking at the front of my waterfall. So there's my wetland filter at the top. Water's cascading down underneath all the snow and ice, over a couple of rocks here, and then back into the pond. And same as most areas here, I just want to make sure that water is moving freely. There's no ice damming going on, causing this water to go anywhere where I don't want it to. It's actually a pretty warm day today compared to the past few days, so a little bit of this ice is actually melted, and water is running nice and smooth for me today, which is sweet. The one other concern that I may run into over the winter time is a power outage. Now, in the event of a power outage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here to my skimmer. I'm going to pop the lid. And you can see this check valve here. This connects to the pump down at the bottom, and it's also a one-way valve which allows water to move up through the pipe but does not allow it to move back down. So if I lose power and this pump shuts down, water will end up trapped in through my whole piping system in here. So in the event of a power outage, what I have to do, at least in an extended power outage where I have to worry about water actually freezing, I'm just going to turn this. This is going to disconnect the pipe or the check valve from the piping system, and it's going to allow all the water in the pipe to drain back into the pond. So that means that all my water is going to leave the pipe, and I don't have to worry about water freezing inside my piping system and having any bursting pipelines or anything like that. Alright, so that's the one thing that I really want to look out for during a power outage. And of course also I may lose power to my de-icer and my aerator, so I need to watch out for that as well.